For my video this week, I will be doing the same speech I have been for the past few weeks, which is a speech over the topic of why I believe school should begin 1 hour later. Many students believe that school should begin later. Beginning school during early hours can cause many problems. Early morning classes can cause students to show up to class very tired and not very focused. Some students even come to class late due to tiredness or transportation issues. Many even skip their morning classes to get their extra hours of sleep. 3 issues are caused by school beginning too early. Students are tired and not very focused in the morning. Students are late to class or skipping class, and it is not safe for students to travel early in the morning. Students are tired and not very focused in the morning. I know we've all experienced this. In my first period class, the bell rings at 7:56, and I'll walk through the door and see many of my classmates falling asleep or dozing off, and the class hasn't even begun yet, and we're still not alert and awake and ready to learn. And this is a major issue because what are we getting out of our first period classes if we're all still tired and not very focused early in the morning? And personally, this is an issue for me because my first period class happens to be one of my hardest classes, and it is my math class, which is a subject I already struggle in. And then on top of that, I take it right when I walk into the door of school, and I'm still not very alert and focused, and so I'm not getting out everything I can get out of this class because I'm simply not paying attention, not ready to learn yet. And I strongly believe that if school began 1 hour later, I would get a lot more out of that class. I would be more alert and focused 1 hour later than I am at 7:56 in the morning. Because simply, I'm not a morning person, and I know many of my classmates are not either, and we're just not ready to learn that early in the morning. So this would benefit us in a very positive way. I believe our grades would go up, and we would get way more out of our morning classes if they began a little bit later. Also, this is an issue because not only does it affect our grades, we are also getting in trouble in our first period classes because what teacher wants their students to be falling asleep and dozing off during their class? None. And my first period teacher, he's kind of strict, so if he sees you falling asleep or dozing off, he's going to yell at you in front of the class and even possibly write you up, and that is something no one wants to deal with. So I strongly believe that if we begin class 1 hour later, that our grades would improve and we would be getting in much less trouble during our morning classes. And who doesn't want that? Also, students are late to class or simply skipping class. And I know in the mornings, not only is being tired an issue, but being rushed is an issue as well. I know sometimes I'm running up the stairs to my first period class and I'm still late past the tardy bell, and I have to go all the way back downstairs, miss a little bit of class, get a tardy slip, go back upstairs, turn in my tardy slip, and then I have to pay my consequences later. Which in my school, for our first tardy, it's just a warning. And then our second tardy, it's either lunch detention or SWATs. And then our third tardy is automatic SWATs. And no one wants to deal with this, and this year I've been really rushed in the mornings, and I've already had to have 2 SWATs due to tardies, and that is really something no one wants to deal with. So I believe that if we begin school 1 hour later, that we will cut down on our tardies, and people will be able to easily show up to school on time. Also, not only are students rushed in the mornings and showing up to school late, they are simply skipping their morning classes because they believe that they need their extra hours of sleep. And I know that it sounds so ridiculous, but many students in my school do this because they simply are too lazy to wake up early in the morning. So I believe that if we begin school 1 hour later, they would be more, they would easily wake up for school. They wouldn't feel the need to skip their first period classes. Maybe it would motivate them to get up and go ahead and start their day a little later, and we would have less absences. And skipping school is a really big issue because the cops can get involved and you can get truancy tickets. And obviously your grades are going to drop if you're skipping classes because you're obviously not participating in class. So all around, if we begin school 1 hour later, I believe we would get less tardies and less school or absences. And both of those would benefit us all in a positive way. And the last problem I have with this is it is not safe for students to be traveling to school early in the morning. And I say this because of 2 reasons. First, in my area, the oil field traffic is is very, very bad. And also in high school, we're beginning to drive to school on our own. I know next year I'll be able to drive to school. And I know some people just aren't prepared to drive through this traffic to school. It's not safe. And early in the mornings, trucks will just be lined up and down the highways because of the oil field traffic. And it is really not safe for us to be traveling that early in the morning alone because we're simply too young to handle all this traffic. So if we back school up 1 hour later, maybe we would miss the traffic and have safe travels to school. And also, my second reason is I have a friend that lives about an hour away from my school outside of town on a ranch. And next year she will be driving to school. And since she lives an hour away, she has to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to get to school on time. And because her dad has to meet the bus halfway, then the bus has to take her the rest of the way to school. And she has to wake up really early. And next year I worry for her because she will be driving down those bad oil field roads alone just as a 16-year-old. And I know she's not going to be alert and awake at 4:30 in the morning. And I really worry about her getting to school safe. So I would love if we could start school 1 hour later so she could have safer travels to school. Because, I mean, our lives are more important than waking up early. And overall, to fix the problem of students falling asleep in class, staying focused, and unsafe travels and skipping school, I believe that schools should begin their first period classes 1 hour later. This would cause students to become more awake and alert during class and make it easier for them to show up to school on time.